Oh, goody.
And we're going in. I think I'm specking Kapar. I want to
I
say our underdog. Yep. All right.
I've got Team Scabs.
Yeah, of course. Fitting, right?
Scabs and Sky Pearl. You gotta root for them.
Oh, yeah.
Against Parzival, the Voon villain.
Yeah, and that looks like what they are leading with. They are leading with the dragons. Going with Voon, Onyxia, and Nefarian. And this has worked out for them pretty well so far.
Yeah. Similar openers, yeah, that we've seen this repeated opener from both sides so far. And Haggart has the double red counter.
Yeah. I really like Haggar's comp, like, a ton. Like, it really, when I first saw it, I wasn't totally sold, but it's done some crazy things this event. And I really think Varian was kind of slept on versus this field of very powerful greens.
Yeah, is this the only? I think this is the only.
I think so.
Maybe one more, but
and again, no dragons from them. Like that's
yeah.
The fact that you can make your way through winners bracket to the finals with no dragons in the Pauper event. I would have been betting against that. I'm still very surprised by that, but the testing paid off, it seems, because it's just working out. Wow, and no retaliation here. I'm actually really surprised by no retaliation here.
Yeah, retaliation went crazy the last time we saw it.
Wow, yeah. So right off the bat, it's looking like a pretty good start for Kapar.
Job's done.
Yeah, again, when is our Tyrion ever dying? It's going to take at least another 1 to 2 turns for Tyrion to die.
Though there is an argument here to, they want to get rid of that Mukla because those bananas get really scary really fast.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the line. They got some nice residual damage too. I definitely am surprised that we didn't see a retaliation there. Maybe they didn't want the residual damage because it would have been a lot of damage to take. Yeah, the retaliation from retaliation.
Yeah. Right.
Retaliation.
And we did see the buff, so retaliation. Yeah, no longer do you take as much retaliation damage, which is kind of really what it needed to be pushed.
Only
over
if you have, here. I think, the equipment, or did it buff the non-one too? I don't really remember original retaliation. I think it's just the equipment.
+5, but that's true, and they're not taking it, which is kind of surprising because I think once that equipment is buffed, I think it ends up being better than the Charlemagne.
I disagree on that one because I've tested both, and it's just too conditional, or at least in the normal Mercs meta.
Yeah, I think it's maybe ladder versus Pauper. Is there a big difference there? I don't know.
Yeah, of course. But I found it, like, I wanted to use... It's great when it goes off, but if your opponent plays around it, you would much rather have the attack. Oh, and look at that. That's a mean play. Look at that. Rogers doing absolute work here. But the Shadow Flame, it was actually kind of better that Kapar's unit died, because they did they dealt a bunch more damage with the Shadow Flame. So that was a very heads up Shadow Flame from Kapar. And now they get the Yulon swap in. That's like really good here. Protect your dragons a bit. Like, you could also go for Sin, but you can't be sending Sin into that 35 attack variant. It just doesn't add up very much.
Yeah, who's dying? Who's actually dying here from Haggart's side? Like I think the Yulon, you're a little bit spooked of this Rogers just going 70 you.
Yeah, these humans are pretty scary right now.
Yeah, here's the Yulon. Okay, yeah, this might be a Kings plus. Yeah, we're seeing Haggart thinking about the Kings, but looks like they're putting it on the Varian instead of the Rogers. No, swapping back around.
Interesting. So Kapar really wants to get this Onyxia AoE off because they just spent that whole last turn buffing it up, essentially.
Oh, are we gonna cleanse some nests, or are we gonna deep breath? The
cleanse the nests, because that's 30 damage. That's like almost clears the whole board, and looks like they're going to be using Yulon to taunt to try and like protect the Onyxia, which I like, because Haggard doesn't really have a way of getting past a taunt right now other than just like pure raw damage.
Yeah, no, and honestly, I didn't even notice. Onyxia has the passive when a dragon dies, it deals damage to everything. Right now, I think Nefarian's going to be able to kill off its summoned dragon here because there's just too much attack. No matter what, it's going to die to the combat damage. Let's see. Taunt up. No, didn't even go for it? What? Oh, but they still got it because
they still get the kill.
Anyways.
But the fire damage, it looks like they... Wow. It looks like they fixed it. That used to be bugged. So that passive is fire damage, but it used to be bugged and did not scale off of Onyxia's fire damage. It looks like that has been fixed because unless I missaw that, I'm pretty sure that passive dealt more than 7 damage.
Nope, yep, it did 22. When I hovered it, it said 22.
So that's
really, so
that's huge actually. No, it was not. It was bugged before. It used to be bugged.
All right, Parzival up on their patch notes.
Yeah, I mean that's huge. That's actually huge. And now
the double greens, I'm not sure if they can throw down with the Sinestra and the Nefarian at 80. Like Anna has 30 attack.
Yeah, I did not know that was fixed. I thought someone told me that it was still broken. So that's that really took me by surprise there. I mean, you gotta imagine Pauper has tested that out and knew that, because that makes their play make so much more sense by protecting with the Yulon. So when the Yulon dies, they get the trigger. Like, really heads up play there, assuming they knew that. That's a really, really good one. It pays to practice.
I was assuming they were going to use the Draconid Rush summon from Nefarian, but honestly, you just didn't really want to take enough damage.
No,
like you don't want to put the retaliation damage on Nefarian, I think, and they ended up just going for a heal and steal some attack, and Yulon did it for him.
Kind of worked, yeah. Like, I mean, the Scabs is still scary for sure, but the Sinestra does just barely live, and now look, they can even hit through the stealth there, and it looks like Pauper is going to be taking game 1 here. Now, they did come up from our losers bracket, so if they do end up securing the 2-0 or the 2-1, they will have a bracket reset and have to win it again. So maybe Haggard won't be taken quite as surprised, because you got to imagine that turn was not how Haggard was expecting it to go. Like, I mean, maybe they were aware of it too, because obviously, Pauper was their practice partner, but you gotta imagine. That's still just such a fringe thing that you like never see with Onyxia. Like, when Pauper went for that heal, I was really questioning it, but damn if it didn't work out.
No, I mean, and I think, could you have even realistically been able to play around it? Like, I think Yulon, if you weren't attacking there, what was Haggard really doing on that turn?
Exactly, it doesn't feel like there really even was a great way to play around it for sure. And that's a 46-84 Nefarian. That's going to close this pretty easily. Big Scabs is not big enough for this one.
No, and I wonder, honestly, how much of this goes back to the Varian didn't go for the retaliation on turn 1. I think that
was huge. Yeah, I think that mattered a lot.
I think we saw it go it just super duper popped off last time and toasted the Nefarian summon, did the damage to the Onyxia as well. Like, it just cashed in the Varian for everything that you want to be able to cash it in for. In my opinion, if you're running that Varian like that, I mean, this is a splitting strike kind of deck in that sense that there are a lot of humans. They do go for those setups to get the bonus attack a lot, and it works a lot. But I wonder if the game would have changed if they had gone for the retaliation on turn 1. Maybe for the bracket reset, we'll see a change of strategy.
Yeah.
If there is one. Only game 1, though, but Parzival up a game. If they win this next one, resets the bracket.
Yeah. And so even if they do get the bracket reset, Haggard won't get a chance to kind of run that back until the next series. So, because that deck is, locked in. Pauper got their win with it. Now they got to get their win with their second deck. But I do think, I don't remember how this translates in Constructed, but it feels like, at least in Mercenaries, getting that first win definitely feels really good. Like, it because then like on one hand your opponent knows what you're locked into, but you just have to get that one more win. And I really like the open deck lists too. I think the open deck lists have made for a lot of interesting like mind games and predictions. And but we're gonna be getting into game 2 here of our grand finals. If Kpar wins this, there will be a bracket reset, and that will determine our finalist.
So can we? Ooh, all right. So it looks like we're gonna be getting the Shadow Galvangar mirror for this last game here. Haggart swapped over to their other deck.
And we've seen that quite a bit,
here.
right? Like we've seen when someone goes down a game, a lot of the times it seems they switch.
Yeah.
Which is definitely interesting. I can't say if it's the right or the wrong move, but it's definitely a decision we've seen made a lot throughout this tournament.
Yeah, I think it's a classic, like, people that lose on stuff want to just swap off because they like, immediately feel as if it didn't really work. And like a lot of times it's not
reaction,
a rational action. Yeah, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But I think a lot of times people will argue that there is kind of a best way to do it. But some players really, like, their mental is a huge part. Like if they feel like they just want to mix it up, or if they feel like they made a mistake, or they don't want to overthink it, or they're going to get anxious, something like that. There's a million different reasons to swap and not swap.
For sure.
And Conquest, people always talk about Conquest just being like, stop thinking about it,
just
roll a random die, and just pick a random deck. Like,
don't metagame yourself.
Literally out leveling yourself. Yeah.
Exactly.
We see Haggart going with a funky opener though. Parzival's still in the tank. But it looks like we're going to get triple blue from Haggart here. The full Shadow Open. While we hold the Tamsin in the back. Oops, the problem, honestly, both, not only, we were talking about Kazakis not being a blue, but Kazakis and N'Zoth is like having two blue mercs that aren't blue. And so I don't think this Sneed is realistically going to be able to die.
Yeah, I think, I mean, maybe they can get it. Maybe if they focus, it's kind of tough. I mean, they do have that little bit of damage from the N'Zoth, which does add up. But I do think in terms of just opening leads, I like Kpar's going into this matchup. Because like you said, like it's like two blues that are not blues. And I really...
And Parzival gets the Galvangar both, like the Galvangar buff that Haggart opts to not take.
Interesting. So the Spawn of N'Zoth does end up eating that damage for Kazakis, but seeing Vol'jin die on turn 1, you can't be happy about that. Vol'jin's like the centerpiece of your shadow shenanigans, and when he's gone on turn 1, it's really not a great feeling.
Especially when you know that Parzival still has access to his Vol'jin. And that has been a huge difference maker, where if you can, again, these semi-mirrors have been so interesting in terms of like when and how you decide to like exchange half of your merc for half of theirs when it's the same merc. But the idea that there's going to be a Vol'jin coming off of the bench to be that revenge killer, and then also have the speed up for the second follow-up shadow effect, as long as there's any other shadow guys still alive on Parzival's side, then that Vol'jin in the late game might make too much of a difference by getting back-to-back turns of speed ups. Haggart just didn't get more than a turn, barely didn't even get, they got one shadow shock and then died. That's as unimpactful as a Vol'jin can be.
Yeah, no, it's hard without, especially like you said, you know, when you go down a Vol'jin, your opponent still has theirs in the reserve. It's not the greatest of feelings, and I think maybe what happened was what we were kind of talking about, where maybe Haggart metagamed themselves a little bit too much. Maybe they were expecting something different in terms of a lead. Like maybe they thought this would be good versus, I'm not even sure. Maybe they thought they were going to go like Shadow Samuro, and then it could have been a little bit better.
Yeah, what are you even really targeting? Like, it's just a Sneed. Presumably, if you're going to open triple blue.
This is...
Big damage, big damage.
Good damage.
Big damage back still, though.
Yeah, no, like, Galva's so good. Galva's so good.
Yeah, I would say Gavingar is the one that, like we were kind of talking about mercs that have maybe that were very high power level and very underplayed in this tournament. I would say Galvangar is maybe the one that the most people brought that wasn't expected and was good. Like it's almost as if for some like I mean we saw a lot of testing partners for this event, but way more Galvangar than I ever would have expected, and he performed. So good call to basically everybody that brought it. But if you're gonna be opening this triple blue from Haggart, what are you targeting other than the Sneed? And you just didn't even you barely got the Sneed down. So might just need some labbing after this.
Yeah.
Parzival looking very far ahead.
Yeah, no, they're looking like they're in really good, really good position here. And yeah, I mean, it comes down to a lot of that Vol'jin stuff we were talking about. Highguard Sneeds is looking a lot less good here because Capar put the Vol'jin on the bench.
Oh,
and
God.
yeah, that's disgusting. Does it
It's
keep
just an ace.
going? It keeps going.
Ooh, it does. That's cool. That's good to know.
Wow. Yeah, the claws are going to be too much there. And that's going to be our bracket reset.
There we go. Hey, Haggart 2-0'd them in Haggart 2-0'd them on the way up, and now we get the reverse 2-0.
The reverse 2-0.
Wow.
Wow.
Hits him with the reset. Sicko.
You love to see it. I mean, we're getting a really cool grand finals here. Yeah.
No, and this one is also tons of like a bunch of different decisions, even in the same matchup, and in some of these same board states, we're seeing completely different decisions coming out. Potentially, direct reactions to testing experience, direct reactions to the tournament itself, direct reactions to just like getting mixed up on or trying to go for a mix up that again you maybe don't need. There is this fear, but Parzival has just been in the zone cranking game after game after game after game. So without a doubt, as long as their fatigue isn't striking, they are warmed up. And Haggart's had to sit there on
just kind of chilling, relaxing,
twiddling their thumbs. Yeah, that's a very different style of having to prepare and having to wait, having to just like stress it out and sit there. You can't go practice on ladder.
And your practice partner's playing the tournament. You can't even get some practice games in with them in the downtime, right? So that's pretty funny how this all worked out. But it's been a great start to the finals so far, and I can't wait to see who takes it home because we've got some really great players here with some very interesting and fun decks.
Yeah, here I want to see the scabs. I want to see the scabs run it back. I know that Haggart can take games in this sense, and I wonder if it's because we saw the human aggro deck from Haggart fall to dragons. I wonder if maybe the good matchup for that deck is the shadow deck. Like, is it actually supposed to try to be lined up against the shadow deck, or is it trying to be lined up against dragons? I'm not really sure. I'd be curious to hear what they said. But if we do run it back, I want to see that retaliation, I think, from the variant.
Same.
But at this point now, it's starting to get too easy to start to play around it. So we'll see what they decide.
Getting into it here, and it looks like Kapar is going with their shadow comp to start off this bracket reset, and Haggart's saying the same. So this is really interesting. You know, this is basically a rematch of I believe, the two comps we just saw last game.
Yeah, the very last game, yeah.
So will they change things? You'd imagine Haggart's really got to be thinking, all right, I've got to do something different because that did not work out. And
which was a different thing, right? They tried a different thing, which was the triple blue opener, and it did not go very well. You have to imagine they're not going to triple blue open again.
Yeah. No, you got to imagine they're going to switch it up. Which should be interesting because that would mean probably having Vol'jin on both benches because it looks like Kapar's going with pretty much the same opener, the Sneeds, the Kazakis, and the Galvangar.
Yeah, I've liked that open. That feels great. Like the most consistent and kind of coherent, powerful open that it protects everything on the bench that you want. If anything, to me, it only really says that like maybe the N'Zoth shouldn't be in this deck in the same way. Like the N'Zoth, the passive has been good. The combo with the Tamsin has been sweet, but the Sneed Galvangar, even just the Galvangar Kazakis opener has been a package within itself, and then the Sneed has seemed like it's just been there for value.
Yeah. It's
Do you
true.
need the
It's
N'Zoth
like,
at that point? I'm not sure.
yeah, N'Zoth hasn't been like, he's been fine, but he hasn't been like the backbone of either of these comps.
No.
It feels like he's just a good synergistic include that's been fine. But I'm happy both players brought it because it definitely makes for some good storytelling when N'Zoth wins the N'Zoth tournament. Oh, I think we had a disconnect here. I think we might have had
so we're running it back.
a disconnect, yeah.
Yeah, it looked like the first three.
Yeah, I mean, we know. Frankly, we've been kind of lucky that that we haven't had more friendly match bugs because there are quite a few bugs in Mercenaries when it comes to friendly matches. That's why we have to.
Oh, is that exactly what we were talking about? Of the make sure you restart the like back out and go back in. Was it that bug?
Usually that happens before you can get in the game, but it wouldn't surprise me. There's just some weird bugs with private match in Mercenaries sometimes, so we'll just get right back into it.
Fair enough. Yeah, no. In that sense, literally, like there wasn't even really that much information gained. We don't know who or where they came in, but yeah, Haggart seems like they just auto queued their first three just automatically went in. So we'll run it back again. We assume they also know each other literally, and
Yeah.
they're not going to be cheesing them.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, these things happen, but yeah, it's not just Mercenaries. There even regular Hearthstone has had some issues with the friendly challenge for sure, from what I've heard. So
yeah, it's always felt like you could get into like it was like a thing in WoW where you would like be put into like zoned versions of the same place, and it feels like you could get stuck. It seems like Hearthstone does have this operating level of like you can just like pass like two ships in the night because you're in two different zoned versions of the same place. And it seems like the spectator bug, like yeah, when you disconnect, you get put into like the disconnect realm, but you're still there and you can still play against people. There's so many.
yeah, there's some weird bugs with it, but it looks like they are getting back into a lobby here in just a minute. But yeah, I'm curious. I imagine they're just gonna both go for the same thing, but it'll be interesting. I mean, it's I definitely do think Kpar, after anytime you got someone on the kind of their back foot a little bit, like when you're going into it, 2-0 into the bracket reset, you gotta be feeling pretty good. It's
and
like
coming off of a 7-match win streak or whatever.
Yeah, no, like a crazy win streak. So you got to be feeling pretty good about that. And it's like you said, on one hand, you have the fatigue aspect where it's like, yeah, after a while, your brain does start to slow down a little bit. Mercenaries is taking a lot of thought. But on the other aspect, like more reps in with the comp, more practice, always a good thing. So kind of like a little yin yang there. It's like there's some benefit and there's some not benefit, but I think anytime you're going into bracket reset, you've got to be a little bit scared if you're the one who just got O2'd. But it looks like they are in it here, so we're gonna get into our grand finals. This is for all the marbles, all the love and praise of N'Zoth.
Kpar been drinking. That's how he powers up.
Yeah.
He runs his backsies. Yeah, the same decks and some alternate openers. Yeah, I honestly want to see Haggart still commit to the Kazakis Galvangar.
I think that's the
think
best
you lose
opener
too much if you separate those.
Yeah, it looks like Kpar is just running it back. Same opening, about what I expected. I think this is probably their best opening. And interesting. So we get Shadow with... Yeah, that's interesting.
Oh, I'm also just realizing that Haggart has the Shadow Claws instead of the Mage Royal passive equipment for the Kazakhs too. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's been pretty... I think that has been pretty good for them. But here, I think the +4/+4 is looking really nice for Kpar.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense here. I mean, you kind of get that value of like your Vol'jin's not attacking, your Galvangar. In a lot of the times, Galvangar wasn't even really attacking. So I don't hate it. And Shadow Claws has been going crazy. The only thing that makes me wait is the Galvangar or the the Kazakis Shadow Claws has been more than strong enough without being buffed. So I wonder maybe if it's a little bit closer to like a win more type of equipment. But we get the block. Oh, juicy bleeds.
I mean, it's still... That's... Wow, yeah. Killing there, that's a pretty huge golem hit.
Yeah, honestly though, is it a good thing? Like we've really been...
Maybe, yeah, maybe not. Maybe they want the swap in.
No, I mean, I guess if you assume that... Because you get to have you would have had the fast golems, and so being able to lose out on the extra 5 attack on each of your golems is actually... That does feel pretty bad, even if your Goblin Guards died right away.
Yeah. And comes the Sneed from off the bench. But that Vol'jin's at low HP, and I wonder if we're going to see like a repeat here where the person who loses their Vol'jin first and the one is at like a pretty severe disadvantage compared to the one who decides to keep it on the bench for the late game. And I think this is kind of showing a weakness in Haggard's comp here in that it doesn't have the greatest way of dealing with particularly I think blues, right? Like they only have Galvan Guard, like they're so blue heavy with this version.
Yeah, it's a
and
quad blue.
Like you said,
right?
it's not even really quad blue in a way because like N'Zoth doesn't really deal a lot of blue damage and Kazakis does kind of but doesn't.
So no, that's a good point. Literally they like slant themselves really hard, which I think actually people still really underplay comps that are very color slanted, especially on ladder.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this is literally like it's like saying you have 1 fighter, 1 protector, and 2 casters. Like, how are you killing anything in a certain sense? That's another reason why I kind of wish that N'Zoth might have been something else, but my god, look how much damage that is.
Wow, and it dies to the bleed. But maybe that's not a bad thing. Maybe Kapar getting a full swap in here is actually pretty decent.
Yeah, because what do we get from the whole bench? And we have these 8/8s that aren't going to die to anything. I guess we can try to get a Shadow Claw off again from Kazakis, but...
And N'Zoth can make one of these 8/8s attack and get his ability ready for next turn to kind of AoE stuff.
Yeah, at 3 speed, you can make the...
Vol'jin could go for a flip here, but Kapar does have... Well, looks like Kapar might not be going for that 3. Kapar's going for the summon on N'Zoth, it seems. But they still could go for a 3 on Samuro, but looks like they're going to go for... Well, no, they're thinking about it between the attack and the mirror image here.
I do like the mirror image to... I mean, I guess maybe you have to end up taunting too often with Kazakis just to be able to block so much stuff. But
that's a cool interaction. I keep forgetting about N'Zoth's damage at the start of turn. That guarantees that Blade Master Samuro is always going to double strike no matter what. You don't even have to target it.
I like that. I like that.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I swear, even when I know it's there, I forget that ability is there like half of the time. It's like, oh, we get damage at the start of turn.
Yeah, and we're actually seeing one of the weird downsides of, again, having some of these like staggered setups. Okay, good damage, and we get the block.
Oh, the mirror image. Yeah, the full board. But they do get the kill there, and Kazakis dies to the bleed. And
now the Samson has enough stats to maybe go the distance.
Interesting. I mean, it is possible. I still kind of like Kapar's position here, but N'Zoth versus N'Zoth.
Yeah. The fact that that's what I was starting to say is that we see again another situation where like the staggered mercs means that we're not getting one of the cool combos again of N'Zoth's passive we were talking about with the Tamsin shadow damage. That's going to be really delayed for a turn or two, but we shouldn't be losing either of them, so it should be able to go off next turn.
This is really interesting. That shadow damage and that start of turn effect might actually matter a lot.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the Samuro can do enough fast enough.
Yeah,
But he doesn't
it's
really
pretty
take that much retaliation
close.
damage.
And there's not even really, like, N'Zoth doesn't even feel good, like, using his third skill on this golem, because it's only 8. 8 isn't enough, even at 0 speed, to do anything of real substance. I mean, I guess you could do that to guarantee... No, it's already guaranteed dead from the Vol'jin, so yeah, there's no reason... Oh, and it just dies start of turn to the N'Zoth that I literally talked about and forgot about.
Okay, we did. Ooh, winning the flip against the taunt is gigantically important. Blocks the other one, but
Oh, but they steal
yoink.
it. The yoink.
Wait, so you can do that?
Yeah. So if you
So did that
target
actually,
I think they targeted their own. Wait, was there? No, there was a summon
no,
on board. They targeted the
other one.
golem.
Yeah.
They targeted the golem.
Okay, cool. I'm glad that does work that way.
Yeah,
where
it does.
lets
I've seen that
still
before.
cast and then slurp someone if they shows up. Okay. Good.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a
Okay.
really cool interaction that might actually be pretty meaningful. But now, K-Park can steal it back at 3 speed. Because
That's right. Oh, yikes. Oh, no, but we can destroy it at 2 speed.
Oh,
With our own
oh
N'Zoth, we
yeah,
just
because
slurp it up.
N'Zoth is off cooldown now, huh? Wow, that's actually huge.
And it deals 20, so everybody takes 4 from that.
Oh no, but it
Curse
dies
just
to the
flips it at 1
Vol'jin.
speed.
Oh, but
No, now he wins! And now the beginning of turn trigger kills it.
Wow.
Oh my god, it ended up killing the Tamsin.
That's insane.
That was great.
25 to everything, and N'Zoth, the one and the only, is going to take game 1 here for Haggart. That's wow.
That was a crazy one. And
that was so
that's-
cool.
That was game 1 of the bracket resets, and so
Yep.
it was reset by Parzival, and now Haggart takes it up. We're up a game, and they now have to basically just have to get a win with
One
this
win.
Scabs. Can Scabs get there?
Oh man, that was I can't even believe that. Like, that defied our expectations. You know, it looked like Kapar was in like a pretty decent spot. They even had that Vol'jin off the bench. But like that interaction, I mean, I really want to know if the either players really expected that outcome there, because that was pretty crazy.
It almost makes you wonder if they just like, I mean, but I don't even know if N'Zoth had another option. Like, I wonder if not going for the summon, because it was summoned, stolen.
Yeah, maybe
If
that's
it
a
wasn't
wholly
stolen,
totally different game if they didn't summon, because they would have stolen nothing. Like that's really that really changed the whole game, which is pretty crazy.
That was also with Haggart losing the flip on the taunt to the block the Sparrow. So even if they had won that, it would have probably been even less close. But
I think that's an intended interaction. I don't think that's a bug. Because I've seen it where it still casts if there's nothing there. You just do nothing. So I think it's an intended action where it just targets whatever it can. If there are multiple minions, it's going to choose randomly. But fortunately, it's only had one minion to choose from. But that was just so funny. The minion wars, just like N'Zoth saying this is my minion, and then the other one saying nope. That's just the spawn of N'Zoth doesn't know who to choose. But we're getting into our next game here. Again, if Haggart can take this one, they will be our champion. If not, we will be going to game 3. And it looks like Kapar going back with the same deck, and I'm not sure if I like this or not, because going up against 3 greens with the shadow comp, I mean, they have to win with it anyway, right?
Yeah, you gotta get the deb regardless. So
just get it out of the way. Yeah, just try and get it out of the way. Considering a N'Zoth lead here, it looks like, which I don't think we've seen from Kapar yet.
That could be a little bit of the like sacrificial setup kind of vibe, where you just want to, if you can just fade turns and kind of whittle away. I mean, the classic like anti-Tyrion strat is almost like if you can slow down the game against a Tyrion, that ends up being pretty good because you can kind of pick people off, keep the Tyrion alive. And now, triple blue. If we're just gonna target these reds, I kind of like this. You leave that Tyrion alive and burn everything else. But the problem is, again, we just have so much random damage coming out of Parzival that if some of these hit the Tyrion, everything changes.
100%. And this is actually
forfeiting the Galvangar combo again with the Kazakis.
now I think I kind of get why they went with the triple blue. You know, they are familiar with Haggart's comp and their strategy, and I think they were predicting this double red Tyrion open, and I kind of like like it. The triple blue against it. I mean, yes, we do have blues that aren't really blues in some way. Oh, these bananas actually matter a ton.
Oh my god, a bunch of whiffs again.
Yeah, not getting... I mean, to be fair, they needed the majority of the bananas to go on the Muckla there if they wanted to kill. Actually, no, they only need 2. They only needed 2 there. This is the grand finals, DG Thunder. So we had a bracket reset. Kapar swept 2-0. Now Haggart is up 1-0. So if Haggart wins this, they are our champion. If not, we'll be going to game 3.
And this opener seems... So in terms of the randomness there, Parzival managed to dodge attacking the Tyrion. Only one of the little tiny Kazakis columns went and attacked into it. I guess you can make the argument that literally you don't want the Galvangar on Parzival's side because you don't want to do extra damage to the Tyrion. Like, you actually want the random stuff to kind of do a minimum. Yeah. You're just trying to stack up your Shadow Claw. You're just kind of trying to stack your N'Zoth for now. So a cute angle to think about, but we're already seeing Haggart's lineup. Again, it's a very damage light lineup. If nobody's attacking, we're not getting the retaliation out of the Varians. So things looking okay for Parzival here. Yeah,
I mean, I really like their line. I think they made a very good call with this. The Shadow Claws, that's just such a blowout. It's a full clear. They don't lose a single mercenary. That is crazy.
And now we have basically no AoE to count on at all.
Wow.
Side.
This might be we might be going to a game 3. So it's probably a little too early to call it, but I mean, Kapar has 2 full health mercenaries. Haggart does get the 2 green switch in, but it's still going to be slower because Vojan giving all that speed, and I mean, they could speed up with the Rogers, but can you really afford to like use Rogers' whole turn on a speed up on a kill you're going to get anyway? You're not really preventing that much by denying them an action. I mean, maybe it's a speed tie on the Vol'jin if you want to take that, but
yeah, maybe actually you have to, if you think that Kazakis is going to go for another Shadow Claws or something, then you could arguably try to like speed up. You could go Scabs plus speed up the Samuro double strike and kill the Kazakis.
Yeah.
But if they go for a taunt, that's just like...
They're definitely... You gotta imagine they're going for a taunt here. Looks like that's what they locked in already. Just kind of trying to decide what to do with this this Vol'jin, but I really like just AoEing. Looks like they might opt for... No, they're going for the AoE. Oh, and switching last second the N'Zoth from another... I guess makes sense not to do another spawn, so you don't want your board being too full. But this position's really good from Kapar.
Okay, we get the
N'Zoth goes down, but now they don't have any AoE for these summons.
Yeah, killing the N'Zoth instead of the Kazakis is interesting.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by that, but I guess they were worried about these summons because they are kind of getting a little out of hand.
No, definitely. I mean, technically now you could go for the... Oh no, we just Whirling Blade. Brutal.
Yeah.
You could go Rogers speed up the Whirling Blade and get like this crazy triple kill and then set up the Scabs kill, but...
So maybe it wasn't right to blow all the AoE in one turn with the Rogers and the Samuro, but hard to say for sure. But this is looking really good for Kapar. That Sneeds off the bench is going to be devastating.
Yeah, against double greens like this, and you can't go immune this turn.
Yeah, fear the Squid Gang indeed. You do not trifle with these 25/5 spawns of N'Zoth.
Yeah, that's super legit.
It worked out very, very well. Great read from Kapar. One fun fact, if you use N'Zoth to force your minion to attack, it will not attack on its own a second time afterwards. I don't know if that's
Really?
an intended behavior or not. It seems like to me it could be a bug, but maybe not.
that seems
Because
odd.
if you attack, if your summon is fast enough, you can attack with the summon and then make N'Zoth attack with it again. But if it's too slow, it doesn't work that way, which is very weird, especially when his golems are 7 speed. Like,
Yeah.
feels like it's got to be a bug. I do think it should be able to double hit too, but that is a weird interaction we have noticed with N'Zoth. But these summons are just so good here, though. Like, look at that. Has to take 20 damage on this. Oh, but so much for Scabs getting the job done. But our little spawn friends here seem to be the ones putting in the work.
So sick. Yeah, they've gotten what? Each of those spawns has done like 30 to 50 plus damage.
They've just done a ton. I mean, yeah, they can get cleaned up now, but like they did their job. And even with the big attack, Scabs is not going to be able to just casually 1v3 here.
No, Scabs is now toast.
He's good, but he's not that good.
No, and so yeah, so this will be the runsies, backsies, where and it's gonna go to game 3, and Parzival on.
Yeah, no,
Parzival's gonna be
really
forced onto
good
Dragon,
plays here.
and Haggart's gonna go back onto human control.
Oh, we got our Cinderella story, right? Like, what a
Game
what a
3,
finals
bracket
this has
reset.
been. Yeah. This one's for all the marbles. Who's going to win it between the two testing partners? We'll find out very shortly here. Ooh, this has been a great finals, though. I mean, it's everything you could ask for a grand finals, honestly.
Yeah, I held my tongue because I didn't want to jinx it, and I was like, come on, let's get the bracket reset, let's get the game 3. Everybody wants
Yeah.
game 5, everyone wants game 3, everyone wants the bracket. Well, honestly, bracket resets where it's just like 2-0, 2-0. Those bracket resets almost feel the worst, but when it's a bracket reset into the other person winning, then it's always hype. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad that Haggart's clutching it up. And again, this is the one where Haggart theoretically made some changes in this last matchup, and they didn't work out. So if they go back 2 steps, then it could 100% be a winnable game, if not an actively Haggart favored game, because this matchup, he went for no dragons. This deck, you would have to imagine, should be able to counter dragons or have a good spot. The retaliation on the Varian, how powerful that would be.
Yeah, no,
See what they decide to stick with.
it's really cool because, again, absolutely crazy that Haggart was able to make it to the finals with no dragons in their comp, just clean through the winners bracket. Like, just ridiculous. Like, never would have expected that. So you got to be thinking they have prepared for dragons, but at the same time, who did they prepare against dragons with? Probably a lot of games for Kapar. So Kapar probably knows their kind of strategy, and I mean the inverse is true too. So it's like there got to be even more mind games going on, given that these are 2 practice partners who played a bunch of games. Like, they're not just seeing their opponent's comp for the first time. Like, they've probably seen it 10 times or something. So really, and it shows, right? It really does show in some of these games. Like, the players know the interactions between their units and against their opponent's units very well.
And you have to imagine that Haggart is more disadvantaged by their opponent knowing the matchup because they're the one playing the weird deck, right?
Yeah, they're like on the
one
tech.
trying to get some. Yeah, they're trying to get the equity out of their cool human aggro deck. Most other players would have no reps against it whatsoever and have way higher likelihood to stumble, fumble, mess something up, not be familiar with something. And Haggart was probably riding a good amount of that now. Will that fall apart as soon as his opponent knows this kind
Yeah,
of off meta strat.
because you got to imagine most of the
I
other
did.
players in this event were not prepared for that. But yeah, I'm really excited to see. I think we did have a little bug there. I think K-Power is restarting. As we do, it hasn't happened, I don't think, a whole lot this tournament, but there can be a challenge bug sometimes where it just doesn't let people into the game and you have to restart. We ran into it a lot when doing King of the Hill. I don't know if it's been fixed, but hopefully. I mean, if they fix the Onyxia thing, who knows? Like, I was really, that threw me for a loop. I did not expect uh, the Onyxia thing to work with the fire damage.
Would
That was really cool.
would that have theoretically been in the patch notes or something, or did those types of
I don't
fixes
think it
like
was
slap
in
through
the
like deck posts?
I don't think it was in the patch notes actually. Yeah, it sounds like the challenge bug has not been fixed either. Which I didn't think it had been. I guess we just got lucky today. Not a lot of people were having it, or if they did, they were already familiar with the bug because we've done a lot of private matches. All right, looks like we're getting into it. This is going to be our final match of the tournament. We've been going for almost 7 hours. And we're going to see who takes it home to be the Pauper 2 champion.
Oh, we got the funky map too.
Yeah, I love it.
The rubble map.
Whew. I mean, the leads here are going to be pretty important, right? Like, you got to imagine. I feel like Haggard, they know their strategy. I feel like they're going to stick to their human lead, whereas
Yeah, they
maybe K-Power
haven't changed
changes it up a
seriously.
little, but maybe they don't. Maybe they just say, "Hey, the Voon lead has been good for me. If it ain't broke, don't fix it." And it looks like that's the direction they're leaning. Yeah, going with the Voon, Nefarian, and Onyxia open.
Yeah, so same openers from both sides again. The Tyrion decks tend to have that inflexibility where you basically build your deck around opening with Tyrion every time. So no surprise here, but will they commit to the retaliation? That's what I want to see this time.
You gotta. There's no way, I think, after losing those games in the before the bracket reset, I feel like that's got to be the biggest thing you take away from that is that my opponent's gonna attack. I think I metagame myself by not doing it before. I mean, maybe there's a little bit of doubt that they try it now, but you can't not swing with Onyxia and and Nefarian here. Like, you just can't.
Oh, same thing. Still no retaliation. That's very surprising. Let's see. They must have a plan.
It looks like that plan is to just kill Mukla, but wow. I'm shocked. I really thought they would go for the retaliation there.
I mean, it's definitely a classic where you like start to flowchart it out a little bit. So I think, especially when the retaliation worked so visibly well in other moments, that this to me screams as if there's got to be a
maybe there's something they know that we do
strat.
not. Yeah, like maybe there is something they're thinking about here.
Like this is a splitting strike. Like here you can use Rogers to speed up the Varian to one shot the Voon to give the splitting strike to everybody, and then Tyrion gets in a bunch. And like again,
I
is
think
that
that's
enough?
the idea, but I don't know if it's going to be good enough. I really think the retaliation was pretty important there. Because then I think you could set up the same thing on Nefarian, I'm pretty sure, because it would have taken more damage. So you could have essentially set up the same thing, but you would have a buffer but slightly more damaged Varian, which is fine.
Yeah, I think you're okay with like throwing away your Varian in many of those cases. It's kind of like the Mukla, where it's almost like the classic Tyrion openers are the opposite, where instead of having too many good things to kill, you almost play an opener where you have too many bad things to kill, and your opponent has like a different bad decision to make, and you're just okay with trading off like that. Again, like the deck that I played a lot of was the Tyrion local Varden stuff, where it was literally just like, it sucks to attack any of these. Like, I don't even want to attack any of them in many cases. And it's the opposite of having too many good things to kill, which is why the Voon is living for so long.
And we talked about that. They literally, it made like, too many good things to kill and making it hard for your opponent to focus on one has been a pretty good strategy. Oh, and wow, that's a ton of retaliation damage, so maybe this is working out, but at the same time, something dying there does end up making the Shadow Flame a little bit better for Kapar.
Yeah, same thing we saw
Oh,
again, and like in those types of flow charts, like when you start to
the
play
cookie
the turns
snipe
out like
here.
that, you do start to memorize that, like, oh, yeah, the Shadow Flame then starts to triple kill because we go for the kill there. Again, does it make that big of a difference? I'm not sure, but like you said, cookie snipe here is
Yeah,
juicy.
cookie snipe here is real juicy. You can't let that Varian get another hit.
And like, yes, the
It's a
Tyrion will
big boy.
die, but
And once
I think
Varian's
the Rogers might
gone,
be
I
back.
think we're going to see kind of a repeat where Sinestra and Yulon kind of run away with things a little bit because they're just so good together. Because that's his one red. Like, it feels like you want it in the open because it plays to your aggro deck plan, but at the same time, if your opponent's keeping the Sinestra on the bench, it's like, I only have the one red. Gets a little tricky.
Yeah, I think when you see that this Samuro and the Scabs have been on the bench together from Haggard all the time, that's a rare situation to be able to have like essentially two of more or less the same character on your bench is not very common in when it comes to like Merc's deck building. So maybe in terms of iterating on this list, you could have something like you said, if you replace one of these greens, Samuro, with a different red, maybe all of a sudden, yeah, what if this is a Sneed on the bench, right? And now we're getting, well, I mean, I guess Sneed was in his other deck, but the redundant copies of a Merc on your bench means you can only do so much. Ooh, big damage, but
yeah, and they trade. Oh, and that actually ends up killing the Tyrion. And now everything's coming up Kfar here. Like, this is looking pretty good. Obviously, 2 greens into 2 blues isn't ideal, but you do have that Yulon you can throw down, or the Sinestra if you want to kind of go for the heal. But I don't even think you really need to do that. I think you just throw down the Yulon, and I think that looks like what Kapar's doing here. Because you say, I have Yulon, you have 2 greens, your greens are focused on attacking, I'm just going to nuke you. And there's not really a whole lot they can do about that.
yeah, the only funny thing here is that you can actually manage to like go double invisible essentially from Haggarth's side. So
Oh,
the
really?
Yulon might not even be able to Jade Gust. Like you could
Oh,
go
yeah,
for the
invincible and then stealth.
AoE. Yeah. So you can actually
Interesting.
block the Yulon entirely. So I wonder
That's
if that would
pretty.
have happened.
That could be pretty cool, but you're just delaying it, right? Like, eventually you're gonna have to attack.
Uh-huh. Well,
It's
I
been
guess
wow, yeah. This has been quite a series, though. Like, really, I love these decks from both players. It's really. Oh wow, the Onyxia lives at 1 because of the
we
damage.
forgot. Oh, the overkill by so much.
Ugh, that definitely hurts. Boom, in comes Sinestra. That's probably gonna lock it down, and it looks like Kapar is going to basically follow up the Pauper one Davidson sweep through the losers bracket and keep the dream alive, which is crazy. I mean, that's I can't imagine. I'm tired thinking about playing that much Mercenaries.
No, it's so sick to see. Like it would feel so bad too to like go through all of that grind.
Yeah.
The entire tournament looks like it's yours, and then to just like drop it right at the finish line. Like there's
It's like,
definitely
yeah.
some justice here that Parzival is getting rewarded, and
Yeah,
I mean, played tight, got rewarded. Simple as that.
and I think it definitely a big part of it comes down to Kapar very clearly had a very good understanding of what Haggard's comp was doing. I think Haggard also had a good understanding, but Kapar's comp was just like, I think it was just better suited against what they ran up against. Maybe things would have been different if we saw, a different matchup play out between 2 of the different decks, but given how everything went, it looks like Kapar is going to wrap it up and become our Pauper 2 champion. With a N'Zoth build, nonetheless. I mean, props to both these players bringing... We got 2 N'Zoths in the finals, and I think... Were they the only 2 who brought N'Zoth? Like,
I literally think so.
like, that's crazy. Oh,
Yeah, nobody else.
that's so crazy. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, right?
And like we said, it's not even necessarily it wasn't even a N'Zoth diff. Like N'Zoth really wasn't the reason why they were just dumping on everyone. It they
No,
just
it
had
wasn't. It's just kind of coincidental, but it's really funny. Kfar is like, I wish I could target through stealth, but because he's obviously getting rid of it, but he still can't target the thing, but it just dies, and that should. Oh, nope, it's gonna it's gonna live one more turn,
a
but
little bit.
uh, just biding time here. But wow, what a great series. I mean, you really can't ask for a better finals. It's
Yeah,
like
Parzival holding it together all the way
craziness.
until the end.
All the
Oh,
practice,
the
it
VM,
pays
even
off.
one damage short from
Killing the cookie, making it closer, but that is gonna do it. And Kpar is going to become our Pauper Open 2 champion. Wow.
GG's. Testing
GG's.
does it. If we have taken anything from so many of these tournaments, it is that hey, testing just simply converts into win percentage in Mercenaries
For real.
and so many of the Hearthstone modes. But honest, I truly believe that testing for Mercenaries ends up giving you more equity like per second of your time than probably any other mode. So this is sick.
Yeah, it really that I mean, I couldn't have written a better like tournament series. Like it was just everything went really great and great play by both players. It's just so fitting that we end up getting both players who tested so hard with each other of all people into the finals so they know their decks in and out, and we could see that in these games. Like we could really see that these players knew their way around their deck. This wasn't their first time messing around with the Pauper comp, and that, like you said, it adds win percentage. Like, and that's so funny. Like, yeah, the first game, first game Haggart played was versus Kapar, and they ended up bringing it right back into the finals 7 hours later. Yeah, no, great job, Kapar. Really, congrats to you.
GG's.
Yeah, what a tournament. This was so much fun. I really appreciate everyone for coming out, for sticking with us through, I mean, this really long stream. I'm really happy with the format. Maybe there's like one or two tiny little things I'll tweak, but like overall, I think this is like a pretty great way to do the Pauper stuff so far. Maybe some stuff will get tweaked with, you know, the new Mercenaries, and if they happen to balance Trigor, please God. But until then, we'll just wait and see. But I don't think we're gonna have as crazy long of a wait for the next one. I mean, because God, our first Pauper tournament was literally like the first month of Mercenaries or something, like eons ago, and so there won't be as long of a wait, and we will try and figure something out as well so we can get our EU folks involved. So definitely stay tuned for all that type of stuff. We'll plug some stuff here before we head out for the night. But yeah, join our Discord. We have a Fighting Pit Discord that has been a kind of a recent creation. But if you're not already a part of it and you want some Mercenaries news and to interact with the community and all that fun stuff, definitely join the Discord. I really should have a command for it, but I'll just grab the link and there will be a command for it next stream or something. Oh yeah, do we have any questions for our finalists, since they're both hanging out here in the chat?
I think, yeah, what was the question I was asking? I think it was the
Oh, the retaliation. That's what I wanted to know. Yeah, so one thing, the only line that we were in disagreement with, really, or confused about, was we were a little confused why we didn't see the Varian go for retaliation. On the first turn versus the Dragons. What we were thinking is they were trying to set up for that. Rogers comes in, speeds it up, gets the kill, gets the death blow, and that did happen, but it didn't seem like it worked out. And Yeah. Okay. So, well, we just wanted to make sure we weren't missing anything.
You never know. Yeah.
Yeah. So even Haggart saying, yeah, that was probably a mistake in retrospect. But again, it's been a long day, so totally understandable. But it is nice to hear it from the player themselves and their perspective, because you never know. Like, there could have been a line there that we weren't thinking about because we're obviously not nearly as familiar with the comp. But yeah, would it have changed the outcome of the game? Really hard to say. Like, I think it would have been slightly better, but I do think in general, Kapar's comp just lined up really, really well. Oh, apparently the variant dies anyway if he retaliates. They tested this out a bunch. Oh, because the Onyxia equipment. Interesting. Okay.
Oh, were we against a different Onyxia that didn't have that equipment before? I would believe that.
Maybe because there was at least one other Onyxia in the tournament.
Yeah, Zampage had it.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Okay, well that's good. That's good. Thank you for that insight, because obviously we have not tested that matchup, so we we would not have known that. So let me grab I'm gonna grab our Discord link, plug that in the chat. Definitely, if you want more Mercenaries content stuff, or if you missed some of the tournament, definitely go check out the YouTube channel. This will be edited down and post up there probably within the next week. So before our next podcast on Saturday, a week from today, sometime maybe Friday, sooner if I have a little bit more time, but let's call it Friday. This will be going up on YouTube. It will be edited down, so no downtime. We didn't really have that much of that, though. Really, everything about this tournament went honestly better than I expected. So, a few little things I'd like to tweak. Like, probably next time I'll do deck submissions. Like, I'll make the deadline probably like a day before, just so we can make some graphics for the player decks and whatnot, and all that stuff. But it was just a great tournament. Like, it really, I mean, honestly, it probably exceeded my expectations, because if we're being real, the Pauper 1 tournament, like, that was a heck of a tournament, and it felt like it was going to be a little hard to follow that up, and I think this really did a good job in doing that.
Yeah, no, I think we killed it.
Awesome.
Good job, everybody.
Well, we do want to thank everyone for hanging out. I think we have like 50 people here, or I guess a few left now that's over. We still got like 40 people here. We're going to find someone to raid. But again, if you're not already, follow the channel. If you want to know, I'm going to be trying to do more stream stuff. We got Mercenary stuff coming next week. So, I mean, in a few days, really. So
yeah, everything we know could change in like 3 days. So
and
hold on to this last vestige of the old world potentially.
Yeah, no, so I think this was a great way to send, the Trigor meta out with a bang, right? Like, no Trigor allowed. We're going to have some fun. We're going to see some, like, crazy comps. And, I mean, that's exactly what we saw. And I was so happy we didn't end up seeing, even though she was strong, we didn't see a single Sinestra tie.
Nope.
Like, that was great. Like, and huge Galvangar MVP. I mean, I think Galvangar might have been the most played Merc, like, across all the comps. He was in like everything, and he was great. Like, and you got to imagine that's some of that tech against Sinestra, because what else shuts off healing? You don't really have much in the way of options. I guess Tamsin does too, I guess, right, with their shadow thing. But you don't have much options. So really cool, great deck building from all our players. Thank you to the players for participating. We can't do this without you. So really appreciative of the Mercs community. Yeah, it's why we keep doing this. But I will message our winners here. Definitely, if you're not already in the Discord, definitely make sure you are. I think both of them are already in the Discord, but I'll send each of you a message on Discord, because I think I added both of them today, so it takes like 2 or 3 days or whatever for to allow me to gift the winnings. But both of our finalists there do end up winning the 15-pack bundle with the portrait. And if you don't know, fun fact, you do not have to redeem this instantly. So
hold on to it.
Okay,
so we
cool.
can
So I
see it.
added, that's right, I added Kapar earlier, so I can send theirs right away. So Haggart, it'll have to be, I think it's like 2 or 3 days or something. But I can send Kapars right now. Also, pro tip: do not redeem your gift until after the patch goes live. If you want a chance at getting the new Merc from the legendary portrait. I believe that's how it works. It's a portrait, so it's not a guaranteed new legendary like some of the prior deals, but I think you still have a chance at getting a skin for one of the new legendaries. So I'm literally holding on to that bundle right now. So looking forward to Wednesday when we can open it, but let's find someone to raid. See if there are any Mercenaries people online, but I doubt it. But we'll find a friendly Hearthstone person. Let's see. Yeah, thanks again, everyone. Congrats to Kapar. Like, really great time all around. Let's see who is online. Yeah, and everyone, I hope you have a great night. Thanks for hanging out. We are going to, I guess we're going to raid Team America, who's doing some heroic brawls. So if you don't know, Team America used to be like the mercenary streamer before Valera and all the other stuff. So we're gonna go show them some love. If you have the emotes, if you happen to be a sub here, spam some Pogfish if you got it. But yeah, thanks everyone for hanging out. Again, the edited down version of this will be going up on YouTube probably on Friday. And look forward to the podcast on Saturday because it might be our biggest one yet. Because who knows how many mercs are coming. But I have a feeling it's a lot, and it's going to be a lot to talk about for the fighting pit. So
It'll be a fun week.
Oh, yeah. So thank you again to Mullahu here for taking the time to cast with me. Next time, we will try and have all three of us. But, life stuff comes up sometimes, so totally cool. I know Wizard Beast is looking forward to catching the rerun. So thanks, everybody. Say hi to Team America. Have a great night. We'll see you next time.